Hi, everybody. I wanted to take a few minutes and talk to you about some of the key principles that kind of discovered over the many, many years of teaching and actually applying some of the psychology that I've learned. Um, these key principles are not necessarily set out in the textbook, our research methods textbook. Many of them are implied; they're tangential throughout the chapters, but they do, I think, place there's an emphasis on these principles throughout, not only research methods, but all the courses that you come in contact with within all areas of psychology. The first key principle I want to mention is that our nature and our nurture constantly interact. What I mean by that is that our behaviors and our mental processes are the result of the interaction of both our inherited or genetic makeup, our genetic influences, plus our environmental influences. As you read through, I think, research methods, as you continue to read, become familiar with published studies, research studies, you'll find a lot of information on the fight between, okay, how much is inherited, how much is genetic, how much of our that interaction is environmental. Research has flip-flopped throughout the years, and I think if you start to pursue this a little bit right now, what you're going to find is that it's pretty much 50-50. A lot of the twin studies, and again, we go back to research methods, a lot of the twin studies have shown that it's a combination of genetic and environmental influences that make us who we are. The second key principle is that no two people are exactly alike. And again, kind of goes back to our genetic and our environmental influences. That diversity makes us who we are. Because of those individual differences, the only statements that we can really make in psychology are probabilistic statements, okay? As you read through your textbook in research methods, you'll start to read about sampling, especially in this unit 2. You start to read about sampling and the importance of sampling individuals and generalizing to populations. And that's really all we can do in psychology, is because we can't perform research on entire populations. So we do rely heavily on samples and make those probabilistic statements to that population based on the sample. But those statements, again, are general statements. And the theories that we come up with in psychology are general statements, are general theories. The third key principle is our experience of what goes on in the world can often reflect something that is very different than the actual physical environment. And by that I mean we all perceive things very differently in our environment. What we experience, or what I experience, and what you may experience it can be very different based on my genetic makeup, based on my experiences through life. We attend, we select, we remember things very differently. We interpret things very differently. Even when we experience that same situation, those situations are interpreted very differently. The fourth key principle of psychology is that there's no simple answers to anything in psychology. That's kind of the beauty of research. What you're going to find, again, as you continue through this class in research methods, is that there are no simple answers. Very complex questions When we start to think about questions in psychology, we start to put together theories and hypotheses. These hypotheses are pretty complex. Because those theories and hypotheses are complex, our answers are going to be complex. Complex phenomena, when we're dealing with human beings, have complex explanations. Behaviors, our mental processes, generally are going to have multiple causes. Okay, and as you begin to read through the research, you start to become more familiar with research articles. There's typically never one kind of general outcome that the researcher cites. There's often multiple outcomes and multiple kind of theories that develop. Our challenge is to kind of discover those outcomes. A fifth key principle is that psychology is absolutely relevant to everyday living. It's relevant to our daily lives, and it always has practical implications to the real world. Even something like research methods has practicality, even at its core. We can start to talk about hypothesis testing, for example, and coming up with a hypothesis, just a general statement of what happens, and we can test that hypothesis, and we can come up with alternative conclusions, and we can test those alternative conclusions. And we do that on a day-to-day basis, if you think about it. We go to clean the bathroom, for example, and we pick out a cleaner. Our hypothesis may be, I'm going to pick out a certain cleaner that I think may work the best. Well, we test that cleaner, and we discover that there might be another cleaner that works just as well. And those are some of the results that come out of that action of cleaning our bathroom, for example. So even research methods, as archaic as some of this sounds as you read through the book, and I know research methods and statistics can be pretty daunting at times, but it does have applicability to our real life, our everyday functioning. So I just wanted to mention those 5 key principles. Again, our nature and our nurture are constantly interacting. Nobody's exactly alike. We can only make probabilistic statements of our processes, mental processes, and our behaviors. What I experience, what you experience, may be 2 different things based on we're all individuals. For all the questions we have in psychology, we don't have any simple answers. Sometimes we have more questions than answers. And everything that we learn about in psychology, including everything we're learning about in research methods, has practical applications to our real world. So some thoughts to think about, some things to think about. I'd love to hear some feedback from you guys about those key principles in psychology. Thank you for spending some time with me, and I'll be looking forward to hearing some of your thoughts on this. Thanks, guys.